Tamika Johnson, bravo to you for this fundraiser, and having Sue Gunter as the beacon light of it would be fantastic. Sue Gunter, I don't mean to embellish this a centimeter, I thought was the best female basketball coach of all time, bar none. Now, instantly you're going to say, how about record? Did she have the best record? She had a great record. But the reason I say she was the best female basketball coach in the history of the game, she understood that the young people that she was coaching didn't care how much she knew until they knew how much she cared. She was a caring, loving, beautiful human being. Let me give you an example what kind of a person she was. We used to practice at 3 and she practiced at 1. We had an old tartan floor. I finally convinced the AD to rip it up and let's get a brand new basketball floor, a wood one. Become of age in basketball, okay? They did it. Well, Monday, we were going to practice on that floor for the first time. So I was going to come and watch her. So I came out on the court. The girls weren't there. I looked at my watch. Heck, it's 1 o'clock. So I know where they are. So I saw a student manager walking. Hey, young man, aren't the girls practicing today? Yeah, he said they are. Where? He said down in the dungeon, which was an old practice gym that leaked. I said, what are they doing down there? He said, Coach Gunter said, listen, LSU basketball, men's basketball, they make the money, and we need to now respect them, let them practice on their own court first. So she was a unique person. I think after we all leave this earth, we can say, what kind of an impact did we leave? Sue Gunter, I've never heard one young lady that played for her ever said one bad thing. So Tamika, you had a great coach and you're a great person, and thanks a lot for the fundraiser for Alzheimer's.
To Coach Gunter, I feel that you are still coaching me today. Thank you for instilling the courage, the tenacity, the self-perseverance, and the will to never give up. And thank you so much for saying, Cornelia, you've got to get your degree, you've got to get your education. As I touch the lives of the young people that I coach today, I am Sue Gunter.
Good evening. My name is Joe Carvalito. I worked for Coach Gunter for 4 years as Director of Basketball Operations. A lot of people used a lot of different words to describe her, like coach, legend, pioneer. I had other words to describe her, as witty and friend and mentor. You know, I think of a few things from back when we were working together, and I have a few stories I'd like to share. One of those stories starts out with my first road trip. We were on the Baton Rouge airport, and I was on my way to New Mexico with the team, and it was about a 5:30 a.m. flight, and we all know Coach Gunter was not exactly a morning person. So she was reading the newspaper, and I was so nervous. You know, I'm working for the legendary Sue Gunter, and so I looked across, and she was reading the newspaper. So I said, Coach Gunter, I said, would you mind if I get a piece of the newspaper? And she said, no, not at all. You know, I said, is it today's paper? And she sarcastically retorted to me, no, Joe, it's yesterday's paper. And I thought to myself, well, this is going to be a fun year. So one of the second stories I had with her was our staff was back and forth with her, and they were going into her office, and I was in my office, and they had just come back from practice. And they were, you know, just as every staff does, the assistant coaches are on one side, the head coaches are on the other side, and they come out and they're high-fiving each other, thinking they kind of won. And she left the office, and I had asked them, I said, you know, is everything okay? And they said, yeah. They said, Coach, it was fine, everything was okay, good. Now they said that she used the word fractious to describe us. And apparently none of them knew what that meant. And I said, why don't you look that up? And they all went and looked it up, and they called Coach Gunter, and even though she was still mad at them at that time, you know, in her way, she forgave him and laughed and joked, and she couldn't be mad at anybody really too long. And my last story for her was probably one of the most emotional stories that we had, and that was the Seattle Elite Eight game. And if you look back at the picture of us celebrating, you can actually see Bob Starkey on the phone and he was on the phone with Coach Gunter. We had all called to congratulate her. I think she was happier for us and the players than we were for her. And we get to New Orleans, and she was in the hotel waiting on us to come back after we had lost the game. And a person who had strived to get to the Final Four for so many years, who couldn't be there, and should have been more emotional for her, and we found ourselves being comforted by her. And that kind of sticks in my mind of who she was to us. So for us, one, she was a brilliant person. She was one of the smartest people I'd ever been around, and to this day. Two, she was a mentor. Three, she was a confidant. And four, she was a friend. And most importantly for me, I never really got to thank her for bringing me down here, but I'd like to thank her now for making me part of LSU and part of her life. Thank you for making me a small part of your evening.
To me, Coach Gunter was and is timeless. She's someone who has embedded and imprinted her mark on so many young ladies, and that mark that she has placed in our hearts, we carry that with us every day. And there's a bigger fight out there, and that's the fight to find a cure for Alzheimer's. And the struggle and the time and the commitment that so many of our families and friends had to endure, Coach Gunter got that. She understood that fight, and we all do too. She's someone who has graced the sidelines, stomping those heels, but also who has the compassion to wrap her arms around those who are in need. And I want to thank Coach Gunter for allowing all of us to have this opportunity to fight together for something that's worthy, that touches all of us personally, grandmother, relatives, aunts, all of those who have been diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's. We're all in this fight together. And Coach Gunter, you're the head coach of that fight.
Hi, my name is Miriam Seeger. I work at LSU in the athletics department, and I'm honored to be able to speak about Coach Gunter and what she meant to me and what she continues to mean to me. Coach Gunter was an amazing woman. Everyone that knew her loved her, and all for different reasons. She had that unique ability to really attract people to her. I don't know anyone that played for her that doesn't still miss her, but also want to live out the legacy that she left in us, to be better than we were when we got here. And I can say that in what I do now, I remember Coach Gunter on a regular basis, and I remember the hard work that she instilled in me and the ability to work with others and help others. And I just hope that as I continue on my career, that I can be as influential to those that I work with as she was to me. So I'm honored to be a part of the legacy of Coach Gunter and her student athletes that she worked with.
You know, I guess the short of it is Coach Gunter basically meant everything to me. And that's probably a long list of people that would say that. I mean, obviously she came into my life as a coach, but she was a coach that had a little bit of that maternal instinct, and she was a tremendous communicator. And so I get through that phase, and you know, she becomes my mentor. And yes, the X's and O's of the game, but it was the respectability factor and the relationship part of building something special that I took away from her. And I think the part that people forget about as I progressed in my career is she also became one of my closest friends. And you know, that was an aspect that I missed. You know, she's the reason I like a nice red wine. She's the first person that made me eat a steak medium rare back in the day. She just impacted my life and so many other lives, and people just think about the basketball part. There's a ton of us, and she's going to continue to live on through us, not just in our basketball lives, but as we go on and impact people because of the respect that we're going to show them, because we learned it at home, we learned it at her house, which was at LSU, and then we brought it out into our own lives to have a positive impact. We loved her, and we miss her.
Hi, my name is Mickey Collins. I'm the LSU women's basketball athletic trainer. It's an absolute honor to be asked to talk about Coach Gunter today. 17 years ago, Coach Gunter gave me the opportunity to be the athletic trainer of her LSU women's basketball team, of her girls. She believed in me and trusted me at the age of 22 years old. I was a young, naive farm girl from Iowa, and she took me in and believed in me, and here I am today. I have two stories that I love to tell about Coach Gunter that really show the type of person she is. The first one was my first year here at LSU. We played a couple days after Christmas, and so we had to practice on Christmas Day. It was a bad day for me. It was the first time I had really been away from my family on Christmas, so it was just, rough and kind of sad. I was in the training room and she walked in and she must have noticed that I was like having a bad day or upset. And I'll never forget the tap and the hug that she gave me. Just made everything better. It's like she instinctively knew that I needed that hug. I'll never ever forget that hug. I still feel that hug sometimes when I'm thinking about her. And sometimes it reminds me that sometimes my own athletes need that hug, or sometimes my own student athletic trainers need that hug. So that's story number one. Number two is a little more comical. One of the last moments time I spent with Coach Gunter was with Coach Gunter and Miss Doris. We were drinking red wine and eating popcorn. That's what I did when I went over to their house. I remember I'm not a red wine drinker. So I was eating a lot of popcorn, and I think that's probably all I'd eaten for a long time. And red wine was making me hot and very, very flushed. And Coach Gunter just kept drinking, and Miss Doris kept pouring more into my cup. So I just kept drinking. We had a wonderful time visiting. We just had a great time, just chatting and talking. That's just what a great person she is, wanting to know everything and, hearing all the stories and seeing how the team is doing and all that. And we had a great time. When I went to go leave, when Coach Gunter was, it was time for her to get up and go to bed, went to go leave, I was like, oh, wow, I'm overserved. Well, I remember I got in my car and I was like, I can't drive. So I just backed up out of her driveway, and I got out of her driveway and pulled up to the Knicks' house so they couldn't see me because I was too embarrassed to tell her that she had outdrank me. And here she was, not feeling well, and she was drinking more than me. But anyway, that's one of my favorite stories. It's a very, very memorable time I had with Coach Gunter. One of my last good times when she was doing relatively well. So I hope you all have a great night, and thank you for including me in this. Love you all.
Hi, Tamika. Thanks for asking me to say a few words about Coach Gunter. She was our queen, and she was a lady, but she was a fierce competitor. I have some fond memories about her leadership. She demanded the best from all of us. She also required that we respect one another. She reminded us every day that this was an opportunity to step on this floor and don this purple and gold. And, she's greatly missed. She comes up in my head often, and I just remember some of the lessons that she taught about being accountable. You're accountable for your actions, Joyce Walker. I can hear it clear as day. I'm honored to just say a few words and just say that she represented greatness in women's basketball. I was fortunate enough that I was in her first class at LSU, and we got her ready for you guys. And she's had nothing but success along the way. So it's a great thing that you're honoring her in this manner, and wish I could be there. But Sue Gunter will live long on the LSU campus and so many other places that she touched young female athletes and helped us grow into women. She also helped us believe that possible is nothing, and we could do anything that we were willing to pay the price for. So thank y'all. Bye.
Since we last spoke, Coach, many years since you last stood over me just like this, I want you to know that I miss you and I love you. To those of you suffering from this disease, we want you to know that we are here for you. You have our full support. Thank you for coming out. Have a good night.
Coach Gunter, thank you for everything that you have done, for the many lives that you have impacted, especially my life, by giving me courage and hope, but also for the many lives that you will impact through us as we continue to keep your legacy alive and going. We love you and we miss you. To everyone that's here tonight, I thank you for coming to be a part of this event to celebrate Coach Gunter, as well as raise awareness to Alzheimer's. This is a disease that's not going anywhere anytime soon,
and I thank you for being a part of the fight. Have a great night.
I need someone to hold on for me, to what I can't seem to hold on to. The life we used to live is slipping through my fingertips like a thread that's unraveling. I suppose that nothing lasts forever, and everything is lost in its time. When I can't find the words that I'm trying to speak, when I don't know the face in the mirror I see, when I feel I'm forgotten and lost in this world, won't you please remember me? Remember me. I know there'll come a day when I have gone away, and the memory of me will fade. But darling, think of me and who I used to be, and I'll be right there with you again. I hope I'm one thing worth not forgetting. Tell me that you'll never let me go. When I can't find the words that I'm trying to speak, when I don't know the face in the mirror I see, when I feel I'm forgotten and lost in this world, won't you please remember me? Remember me. Remember me. I hope I'm one thing worth not forgetting. Tell me that you'll never let me go. When I can't find the words that I'm trying to speak, when I don't know the face in the mirror